Hello and welcome. I'm going to tell you about this Przemek Katana. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the gentleman's name, but, well, that's unfortunate. I wish I did know how to say it, because he's a really awesome swordsmith. To elaborate on that point, I'm going to tell you a little story. A story about a sword named Brady, who was living with... No, that's not the way it goes. The way it goes is this. I bought this sword some odd years ago from the gentleman named Przemek directly. Now, if you're not familiar with Przemek, this is what he looks like, and I imagine he's thinking, I don't always make swords, but when I do it in my socks. Now, I've never personally met Przemek, but I have bought a lot of stuff from him, various swords, wakizashi, Tanto, Tsuba, and other such, and all of his service has been good. He's been forthright and a really nice guy to work with. I'd say he's a good dude. Continuing on with the katana, it was mounted before it was polished. I had a simple Ishime saya made. I used Fuji and Kashura for my Hanwei Wind and Thunder katana, and some Hyper Cafe Manuki. The ito was wrapped in black silk over small nodule samegawa. The habaki was made by Przemek, but the seppa and the habaki were both finished by Randy Black. Well, Randy made the seppa, Przemek made the habaki, but Randy finished it off in that lovely patina that you see on it now. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any video of the cutting I did with this. The only remnant I have from cutting is this photo, and you can see it chopped through shit pretty good. After I got my rocks off with cutting with the blade, I sent it off and had it polished. Now, a polish costs a good amount of money, so I didn't really want to chop it up or do anything with it after it was polished. It was done by Chris Osborne, who's a very talented polisher, and he did a really fantastic job. The hamon pops out, and it looks absolutely amazing. I don't know exactly what style hamon you would call this, but Przemek did a really amazing job. There's a lot to see and a lot to absorb, and for just 1 second, I'm going to shut up and let you take it all in. As a swordsmith, Przemek is pretty new to the game, and because of that, he doesn't charge the same amount that everyone else does. You can actually afford a custom sword at a significantly more modest price than what some of the other guys out there will charge you. And I think the results show that it's a pretty fucking nice katana, right? So the thing is that, you can get a blade and shirasaya and relative polish from him for around $2,000. It still has to be mounted and put in koshirai, but I think that makes a project possible for some people, and, otherwise it wouldn't be. And this is certainly a great direction to go if custom swords are what you're after. This sword had more customization in its future, though. It was sent to this crazy scientist. Actually, it wasn't. This is Kevin Adams, and he's not a crazy scientist. He's a really awesome fittings maker. There's a word for it. It's like Tosogu or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, he made this Tsuba, or at least this is part of the process of the making of the Tsuba, which ended up looking like this. And it's got a swirly Mitsudome on it, so I think it's absolutely fucking beautiful. But that's just me, because I love swirly Mitsudomes. But wait, there's more. The samegawa was lacquered black and then rewrapped in black silk. And then a new saya was made, which had some green with swirly mitsudomes on it, gradually tapered down into a deep black or deep dark brown, depending on the light that you're looking at. There's swirly mitsudomes in there. Do you see all that shit? I've fucking got so many swirly mitsudomes, I don't know what to do with myself. The new saya and Tsuka and Tsuba give the blade a different presence. It still feels the same in your hand when you swing it. However, it looks quite a bit more custom, and I'm really thrilled with what the new owner chose to do with the Saya and Tsuka and Tsuba. That's right, there are two people out there that really like swirly Mitsudomes. The Saya was modeled a little bit after a Walter Sorrell's wakizashi that I had done some time ago. But it wasn't actually my choice. I didn't actually do this one, believe that? Somebody else loves Mitsudomes. I have some brief video here that shows maybe what photos also show. I don't know. Some people like video more than photos because it's video. Anyway, this is the sword with the new Tsuba and the new Saya on it. You can see that the workmanship is impeccable. Kevin Adams Tsuba really feels wonderful. It looks great. It's really a piece of art. As is the Saya. You can see the grain in the wood, and depending on if you're in direct sunlight or indoors, the deepness of the brown at the end of the Saya kind of changes. Now, the lighting here is in not the brightest sunny day, so you don't see the deep brown texture, but there's more swirly Mitsudomes hidden under there in the right light. That's right, you heard me. Hidden swirly Mitsudomes. And by the way, I know I'm not actually saying the name of the moan correctly. That's a thing I do, and it's entertaining to me. And if you're still listening, it's probably entertaining to you. Anyway, Continuing on, you can basically see the same thing. The same Fujikashira were used, as were the Minuki, but you can really see that the Tsuba from Kevin Adams is just bitchin'. Now this video shows the blade, and bear in mind that I don't have the best light. One, because I'm not a good photographer, and two, because the sun didn't want to cooperate with me. I offered it a beer, I offered to let it watch the Super Bowl on my big screen TV, but it was like, no, I'm not going to participate with you, I'm the sun, fuck off. Anyway, the point is that the lighting wasn't great, but that's actually helpful, because you can see that the hamon just pops out even in the wrong light, and it has to be a really bold hamon to do that. A lot of times you have to hold the blade at a funky angle so that you can see the hamon just right. Not on this one. The polish has all sorts of zazz, and the hamon really stands out. And there's also a lot to see. There's a lot of different colors and shades and textures, and, well, not really textures, it's all very smooth, because it's polished. But there's a lot of stuff to see in the hamon, and there's names for all of the stuff that's in there, but I'm not going to bore you with that, because, well, actually, I just don't know what that stuff is. But just because I don't know the words doesn't mean I can't like what I see. It's kind of like if you didn't know what titties were called, if you didn't know the words to describe titties in all the ways that you like them. It doesn't mean that you would like them any less, it would just mean you'd sound stupider than you do trying to explain why you like titties. Which is probably what this sounds like right now. I should probably stop making that type of association in these videos. People are going to start thinking I'm a weirdo. After all, what kind of guy has a large collection of swords, constantly talks about titties while filming swords in some sort of makeshift Batman voice? I mean, that'd be weird, right? What you're seeing now in the video is the Ishime Saya. In comparison to the gloss Saya, you can see why I like the texture on the Ishime Saya, at least for Aya. It doesn't show fingerprints as easily. The contrast to that argument is that the simple Ishime may not show fingerprints as easily, but it also doesn't give you the same kind of custom awesome flair as a gloss Saya with swirly Mitsudomes in it. You can really take your pick on what kind of theme you want on it, but having the Saya with a little extra zazz on it is pretty cool. Now in this video you can also see that this is the katana compared to the Walter Sorrell's Wakizashi that I have, and you can see the similarities between the two Saya. Now the Ito is different, and the Same is different, and the fittings are different, and etc, but the Sayas are really made to be a matched pair or a daisho. And as you can see, they both have a very, very similar appearance and look really awesome together. I thought this would be an interesting supplement to have, so that you can see what two of these badass Sayas would look like next to each other. There are so many Mitsudomes here, it's wildly difficult for me to maintain my composure. Final verdict on this katana is that it's fucking awesome, but there's more stuff I want to talk to you about, like this Tanto that was also made by Przemek, and in this photo it was polished by Przemek. Now I had it remounted and redone, and it looked like this. It was redone in a Ishime Saya with some more Hanwei fittings and more Hyper Cafe Manuki, and then polished by Chris Osborne, and it looked immaculate and stunning. Now, Przemek didn't do the final polish in this or the mounting, but he did do that heat treatment and is responsible for that hamon, and it looks really fucking good. And you can see what a professional polish can do to a blade like this, because there's just, well, frankly, it looks amazing. This is also an example of how good Hanwei fittings can look if you give them a little zazz. Anyway, this is about Przemek, and here's another example of a Tanto that Przemek made in Shirosaya. Przemek can do some Shirosaya work and it looks pretty good. This is an example of what you would expect to see from his polish on a Tanto in Shirosaya. This is a Wakizashi. This Wakizashi has a really nice hamon. Przemek is getting quite a bit better at polishing, if I do say so myself, which I just did, so there. The point is that the hamon, he's getting better at bringing that detail out himself, and not needing so much of a professional polisher. That said, you can see what the results are when you have a professional polish done, but these are examples of the polish that Przemek puts on the blades if you decide to go that route yourself, and I think they're starting to look, pretty darn good without a professional polish per se. Doesn't mean that you can have it professionally polished, just means that you have other options. This is another example of a Wakizashi I got from Przemek in Shirosaya that he had polished. This one has a Saguha hamon. It's not entirely straight, but it's pretty darn good. And overall, I thought the blade had a really nice, beefy, hearty presence. Przemek does a really good job, and I think his blades sing the most when you have him make something beefy and hearty. The overall value on each one of these was really great because Przemek doesn't charge an arm and a leg for his stuff, and I think it looks really nice. Przemek has also made some other stuff for me, like these Manuki with swirly Mitsudomes, and also a Tsuba with a swirly Mitsudome. It should not really come as a surprise at this point that that would be what I would have him make. I hope this video has been reasonably entertaining and informative to you. If it has, click the likey subscribey buttons and post your comments below. All negative feedback will be responded to in the order it's received, or not at all.